Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. I thought we could have a discussion tonight about how the players are getting on so far this season. We're going to rank them out of 10. Now that's a bit of a byproduct. It's more of an excuse to have a little talk about how each player's getting on. But it's more comparing what expectation was for this season and how they're getting on. I'm aware we're only 8 games in, but it's a quarter of the season, isn't it? Plus it's international break and I want something to talk about. So here we are. I'm not going to be doing Snodgrass, No Ball, Ben Johnson, Craig Dawson. I'm only going to be doing players with a decent amount of minutes under the belt in the Premier League. Like I said, rank them out of 10 in no order. There's a bit of controversy coming up for you. If you want to get involved though, I'm going to put the list of the players below in the pinned comments. In the comments, have a look at the pinned one, copy and paste it, give your ranking out of 10, give a little sentence as to why you're giving that ranking. Later on in the week, I'm going to be reading all the comments. Later on in the week, I might include them in another video. It's almost like how you think each player's getting on. I'm interested to see the variation between the responses. There's a few players I know are going to split opinion, but I think we'll agree on some of them as well. And I'm going to start with one that I think most people agree with, which is Lukasz Fabianski. I'm going to give him a 6. I think he's done alright. Not had a bad season, not had an amazing season. I don't think he's been tested enough to have a really good one so far. I think the defence have really helped him out this season. He's not as busy as he was a couple of years ago. Saying that, I don't remember him making any mistakes when he has been called upon. So it's a 6, it's a comfortable 6, but I do hope the club are sort of scouting for a new number 1. In his final year of his contract now, a little bit of talk he might get a new deal, but with his age and like I said, his performances have been good without being amazing, if that makes sense. They're not concerned, I don't want him dropped or anything, but this is against expectation. I think he's doing what we expected and nothing more, so it's a comfy 6. Declan Rice, 7. Maybe I'm expecting too much from him. I think he's done alright. I think he's having a good season, a strong season, but not quite as good as I hoped or expected of him. I think, but I'm willing to sort of sympathise here that he's doing a new role. He's learning a new job. On paper, it's the same, centre midfield, but last season it was sort of protect the back four, don't worry about the final third, just do your thing in there. So he was focusing on his tackling, interceptions, all that defensive attributes and stuff. And if anything, people looked at him and said, well, if he could improve his passing, he'd be a hell of a centre midfielder. I think he has improved his passing this season, actually. But now he's got more stuff to do. He cannot just focus on the defensive side. He's got to do a little bit of everything. He's a bit more box to box. So he's relearning his role. And I have to say he's doing it really, really well. As the season goes on, I expect that 7 to turn into an 8 and then hopefully a 9 come the end of the year. But I think against Fulham, I thought he was average. Newcastle, I thought he was awful. Everton in the Cup, I thought he was really bad. But saying that, he's had some really, really strong performances in there as well. Wolves, when we beat Wolves, I thought that was one of the best games I've ever seen him have at West Ham. Not just this season, ever. I thought he was incredible. I thought he ran the midfield. He was up against players like Moutinho as well. He wasn't up against a weak opponent. He was up against a team that know their system, that have players that have been playing in that system for a long time. And I thought Declan really shone. So I'm going to give him a 7. But when I do this, if I do this video again at Christmas time, I expect it to be on an 8. And Pablo Fornals, I struggled with this one. This is the one I was going between a 7 and an 8. 7 and 8, 7 and 8. Got a couple of goals, a couple of assists. I think parts of his game have been brilliant. I think he's got a hard job off the ball. Like I said in the previous video, I think he's got a lot to do. Could David Moyes' system work without Pablo Fornals? Possibly. But I think it'll take a little bit of learning, if you like. I think there'll be a few teething problems without him in there. Off the ball, unbelievable. His work ethic, his positioning, everything's really good. On the ball, I think he's a bit inconsistent. I don't mean over the 8 games, I mean in the game. So 15 minutes he'll be looking good, looking sharp, linking up well. Then he sort of disappears for the half hour or something. And if you can turn that 15 minutes into the half hour and then go missing for 15, then we've got a hell of a player on our hands here. He is a really, really talented player. If he added that consistency, he could possibly be looking at a move to a club playing European football. But until that happens, he's at West Ham. He's a crucial part of the way we play. I think the reading of the game he's got is possibly the best in our squad. He misses a lot of chances, but that's because he's in the right place. It's difficult to get into the right position. He's doing it consistently because he can read the game that well. Do you know what? I'm going to give him an 8. I've upgraded. I've talked myself into it. Pablo Fornals, you can have an 8, son. I'll tell you, who else is getting an 8? Oh, Bona. This was the easiest mark to give. I think he's just been fantastic this season. I thought he was unlucky not to win Hammer of the Year last year. He's continued his form into this one. Our defence has got a lot better, and he's got to take a lot of credit for that. He's the leader in the back three. He's come up against some top strikers this season already. Vardy, Jimenez, Aguero, Kane, but Kane got a couple. We're going to know hard at Kane a second. He's come up against some tough strikers, possibly the best ones in the league already. Some of them barely got a sniff. Did not get near our goal, thanks to Ogbonna and his organisation of that back three. Every single game, barely makes a mistake, makes the game look simple. Fantastic reader, fantastic tackler. Really, really happy with Ogbonna this season. It's a big, fat 8. Arthur Masuaku. Some people will give a higher grade than what I'm going to give him. I'm going to give him a 7, and I know some people will give him more. I understand that. But he's now, unlike Declan, who's got to learn his job, Masuaku's now playing in what I assume we all think is his best position. He's not great as a left back, but he's left wing back now. He's in his best position. I'm not saying there's no excuses. I expected him to do better there, and he is doing better there. That's why it's a 7. The thing that's stopping me going up a grade is his crossing, or his lack of crossing. I don't think it's quite good enough. Someone else in our team a lot better at it. We'll get on to him, and if he could improve his crossing, then we've got a really, really good wing back in our side. At the minute, we've got a good one. Add the crossing, I think he gets a lot better, but it's a comfortable 7. Ryan Fredericks, here's another one that people will go down for on this, and I'm going to give him an 8. Giving him an 8. I actually thought he was gone in the summer. When he started playing well and we halted our interest in the right back until his injury, I was a bit concerned. I thought it was a bit risky, but I thought Ryan Fredericks was in unbelievable form this season. Pretty much every game. There's some games he got man of match, I think. I thought he was fantastic. Very unfortunate with his injury because his replacements now come in and done well, and therefore Fredericks is going to struggle to get his place back. But for what I've seen this season from Ryan Fredericks, compared to what I expected from Ryan Fredericks, I am going to give him an 8. And Jared Bowen, I'm going to give a 6. Perhaps it's a bit harsh because he's got 3 goals to his name this season. I expected better, in all honesty. I thought he would be... I still think he could score 8 to 10 goals this season. I still think he could do that. But I don't know why. I've just got... When I wrote this down, I just went with a whim. I didn't sit and overly think it. I just expected a bit more from him. Hopefully someone understands what I'm saying here. Hopefully someone thinks, actually, yeah, Jared, I agree with that. I just thought Bowen would be undroppable. I don't think he is. If we played Sheffield United in a couple of weeks and it came round that actually Ben Rama was starting ahead of Jared Bowen, I would not be overly surprised, but nor would I be angry. And I thought, if you said to me at the start of the season, who's your Hammer of the Year predictions, I might have considered Jared Bowen as, possibly winning Hammer of the Year this season, and he's not anywhere near that yet. I'm not saying he's bad or he deserves to be dropped to that. 6 is not a bad score. It's average, and I think that's what he's been. I think he's been average. I think that he's got another couple of levels to go in his game yet. I think he will do it, and if I do this video in the future, I expect him to be getting a 7 or an 8, but for now, I'm going to give him a 6. And that point makes the next score look a little bit overly generous, if you like, and that's Yarmolenko. I'm going to give him a 6 as well, because we've not really seen much of him. He's struggled to get into the team. When he's come in, a couple of games he's come on and looked good. Against Spurs, he helped change the game, but against Arsenal, he helped lose the game. So it's a 6, possibly should have been a 5. He's just not played much, really, has he? He needs a bit more game time. He's almost like second choice position for Bowen's position. He's third choice striker. He's not really got a dedicated role under David Moyes, and that's not good for him. But it's a 6. Thomas Souček, gonna give him an 8. I think it is. I'm not Souček's biggest fan. I don't think he's crap at that. There's just people that like him a lot more than I do. I'm still almost somewhat not reserved. I think in terms of his running, his heading, I think he's the best header in the ball in our team, possibly. His running, his commitment, his defensive side, I've got no complaints about. I just think he's just frustratingly limited when he's in possession of the ball. If he added that to his game, I think what a player we would have. And that's why he's at West Ham and not Arsenal or something. But I think he's had a really, really good season. So it's an 8 for me. There's not much more to say than that, really. I just think he's had a solid start to the 8 games so far this season. I'm looking forward to seeing what he's going to do. And when I spoke about Ogbonna being a Hammer of the Year contender, I think Souček is in the running as well, should he continue this form. Simple as that, really. From one check to the other, Sofal, I'll give him a 7, but it's hard to do expectation for him because I didn't know who he was until we signed him. Never heard of him. I have a bit of sympathy for him, though. I think when he started his first couple of games for us, I was impressed, but I wasn't, wow, this guy's Cafu, he's not the long-term solution. I was neither. I was sort of, right, let's see a little bit more. I think we've got what we paid. We paid 5-6 million. I think we've got a £5-6 million player. He's defensively solid, not made any mistakes as far as I can remember. Going forward, not the best, but he's not a wing back. He's a right back. Like I said, I never heard of him. Within 5 minutes of, let's call it research, 5 minutes of research online, anyone could discover pretty quickly he has not played right wing back much in his career. He's got a handful of games in that position. So we've bought a right back, put him into a right wing back role, and he's playing like a right back in a right wing back role, in my opinion. That's got nothing to do with him. That's not his fault. Gives 100%. More than happy with his attitude, more than happy with his performances. I wouldn't drop him or anything. So it's a 7 for me, but it's a solid 7. Right, Aaron Creswell. I'm going to give him a 9. Yes, that's right. I'm giving Aaron Creswell a 9 because I'm considering expectation. I thought he was done. Not done. I've always been lenient on Creswell. I've always considered Creswell to be a bargain at West Ham. I've always liked Aaron Creswell. I had a great sympathy. I don't think he was playing well at left back. I would like to have seen us sign a new left back in the summer prior to switching formation. But I still didn't want to sell Aaron Creswell. I would have still kept Aaron Creswell at the club, and it would have been Masuaku I'd have sold. Because I think he's been a fantastic servant. He's just got done by a horrible injury. Saying that, this season, unbelievable. Not just his chances created, he's created more chances than Son in the Premier League. Not just that, but defensively I think he's been fantastic. Mitrovic, Fulham targeted him in the first half. Mitrovic went and stood next to him in the box consistently in the first half. Creswell did his best to put him off. You can't beat him in there. Make sure he don't win it cleanly. Creswell done that. I just think he's a brilliant player. I am really pleased to see him in this form. Long may it continues. In this back three, when you play a back three, I think it's important someone can come out of that defence with the ball. Creswell's our man to do it. Not once can I remember he's come out the back and we've got caught on the counter attack because he's out of position. Not once. That's a nod to his reading of the game, timing his runs, when to go, when not to go. His crossing is second to none in the team. Unbelievable season so far from Aaron Creswell. Done the review after Fulham, I gave him man of the match, and I said if he is in the top 5 for Ham of the Year for me so far, and I'm standing by that, and I might even push him into the top 3 actually, alongside Souček and Ogbonna. I think them 3 would possibly be up there. It does take into consideration expectation, like I said, but Aaron Creswell, what a season he's having. Balbuena, going to give him a 7. Solid. He's come in. He's a no-nonsense defender, right? Passing out from the back, he doesn't really do. True, I think he's a bit hasty. Sometimes he just launches it into row Z when he could just take a touch and pass it. But that's what you get Balbuena. He's never really been a ball-playing centre-back. No-nonsense stuff. I think he's rash sometimes. I think he jumps out of that back three too often. Liverpool's winner, he jumps out and leaves that hole between Ogbonna and Sofal. But when called upon, I think he's had a really good season. So it's a 7, a solid 7. Diop, the guy that's looking to replace him, I'm going to give a 6. Better than last season. I think last season was very up and down. This season's been a bit more consistent. It was unfortunate that he lost his position due to COVID, and then Balbuena come in and sort of grabbed it with both hands. But Diop's going to struggle to get back in the team at the minute. Had he been in the form he was under Pellegrini's first season, Diop, but we saw that one, the one that Jose Mourinho called a monster, I think he'd come back into the team like that, regardless of Balbuena's form. But he didn't, which would suggest that either Balbuena's playing out his skin, which I don't think is true, he's done well, but that's it, or Diop's not being undroppable, which I think is more the case. So it's a 6 for Issa Diop. Now that leaves the two strikers, or the striker and the makeshift one. Michail Antonio, I'm going to give a 7. I deliberated at 8. I think some games he's been it's difficult really, because when we're talking about expectation, Mikel Antonio's never going to live up to what he did post-lockdown, is he? That unbelievable run of form in the month of July was just ridiculous. He's never going to replicate that. So while I'm doing expectation for all of these players, I'm bringing it down a bit for Antonio, but then realistically no one expected him to continue that form. But he's still been good. He's still been our main striker. 3 goals to his name. Well taken goals as well, especially that one against Manchester City. Good season so far. I expect him. Do you know how we spoke about how when Diop come back he didn't get straight into the team? I expect Antonio to do just that. A bit of because of what Antonio's done, but it's also a bit of what Sebastian Haller hasn't. And I'm going to give him the lowest score, which is a 5. And it's maybe a bit harsh, but I can only go by what I have seen. I've made excuses for him plenty of times about the system and stuff, but the reality is Declan Rice is playing a different role. He's managed fine. Aaron Creswell is not a centre back. He's a left back, but he's playing fantastically well left centre back. So he's not the like Sofal right back playing wingman. He's not the only player having to play in a team or formation or a system that's not set up to suit him. But yet the rest of them are adapting. The rest of them are putting in good performances and better performances. I hope he stays, Sebastian Haller. I do think there's a good player in there, but my expectation was better than what I've seen from him so far this season. Like I said, maybe it's a bit rough because he's not had loads of time under his belt, a bit like Yarmolenko, but I'm going to give him a 5. Anyway, that's it. That's the players I'm doing. I'm not doing anyone else. That's the ones I've played a decent amount of minutes in Premier League. Like I said, in the comments, the pinned comment has a list of all the players. Copy and paste it. Give them a ranking and put a little sentence next to each one as to why you're doing that ranking. You don't have to do them all, just pick and choose a few if you want, and I'll reply to everybody. I'll read all the comments and I'll use them in a video later this week. Drop a like on the video if you enjoyed it. We would really appreciate it. We've got some different content coming up this week because it's an international break. Subscribe if you're new around here, and if you wouldn't mind doing me a little favour, I create my own channel. I'm just away to record my first video for it. I've done a couple of car bet videos for it, but I'm away to do my first Premier League video. So I'm trying to do Premier League content on there. I've just started it. The link's in the description. If you wouldn't mind subscribing, it'd be massively appreciated. And I'm going to bail. I'll catch you in a bit.